Welcome back everyone to another lockdown interview. On today's episode, I'm joined by a Lithuania Groupama-FDJ rider, Ignatas Konovalovas. Ignatas is a multiple national time trial champion and won the final stage of the Giro d'Italia in 2009 in front of Bradley Wiggins and Lance Armstrong, while Ignatas was riding for the Cervelo test team. Ignatas also did something extraordinary by winning the 4 days of Dunkirk stage race whilst riding for a French continental side, and he was also an integral part of Arnaud Demar's 2016 Milano-San Remo win. Konovalovas has ridden for a lot of big teams and he's ridden multiple Grand Tours, so there's a lot to discuss on today's interview. So without further ado, enjoy. How are you, Ignas?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks.
So where are you right now?
So right now I'm in Lithuania, in my home country, sitting here and enjoying the spring for the first time since I'm professional. Actually, I can see all the flowers and all the trees starting to be green.
Are you based in Lithuania normally when the season would be normal?
When the season would be normal, I would be more in Spain, or right now I'll be somewhere in the high altitude in Andorra or Livigno, maybe more Andorra. So I'm actually more in Spain than Lithuania. Me with my family, we have our second residency in Spain, so we spend even maybe more time there than in Lithuania.
So were you kind of in Spain when the lockdown was first announced, or did you manage to get out of Spain before?
No, I was actually the guy that was locked down for the first time in the UAE tour in Dubai. And yeah, so directly from there, I got the ticket to come back to Lithuania because my family just came back here from Spain, and that was the last minute call. And I said, "Look, Lithuania, just fast." And actually, I was leaving the hotel, and only then they bought a ticket, and boom, I was straight here.
What was it like at the UAE tour? Because that was kind of the first time that cycling kind of came in contact with the coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly. It was. In UAE tour, it was a bit difficult situation because that was the first time it happened. The first time it happened to anyone I knew before, and it happened to me and to us. So at the beginning, it looked a bit ridiculous. We were little bit angry. We didn't express ourselves that much that we are angry about the situation, but we felt like this. Like 2-3 weeks after, when you look back to that situation, you say, okay, that was normal, and that the government did what they had to do, And then you say, they were maybe even clever and everything happened really good. But it wasn't the worst place to be locked out, The country has money, and they put lots of effort to help us. I had lots of help personally, me from the Lithuanian embassy there. So from that situation, what it wasn't that bad.
What was your 2020 goals going into the season?
Yeah, the 2020 goals was like, I'm a guy of Arnaud Demar sprint train, so I'm following him where he goes. So the main goals was to go all the races with him, and 2020 was a little bit more interesting for me because I had to do less of cobbles, almost no cobbles, and to do some more races and some, let's say, different races, and then to go to Giro with him. So let's say Giro was a main goal for the first part of the season, and everything collapsed actually. So
what's your view on the revised calendar, the new UCI calendar, squashing everything into 2.5 months?
Yeah, exactly. So as we also get the information from our team and from our team manager that, Mark Madio is always the guy that motivates you, and like he's, hey guys, and be ready. It's gonna be like 2.5 months, but you will have to like go full and everyone be ready. So that's how it's gonna be actually. It's it's gonna be like cyclocross race, like from the 1st of August till the mid of November, cyclocross. Blah, 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 Well, it looks like that, but we'll see. We have a big team, and let's say everyone stays healthy. So anyway, everyone is thirsty of racing, so everyone is looking to that And these news, okay, lots of racing, even better at the moment, sounds like that. And maybe after 1 month we'll say, oh my God, what a stupid situation, you know. But now in the moment, I think we're all really excited.
How are you keeping yourself fit in the lockdown? Are the rules different in Lithuania? Can you go out more? Because some countries you can.
Yeah, so with the situation with Lithuania is quite easy, and we are actually lucky compared to some other countries because the government reacted quite fast there, and we were, I think, one of the first countries in Europe to close the borders and everything, and to start controlling and to put the people in quarantine after they coming back from other countries. And I think for that situation, we are not that bad. On the day of today, we have only 1,500 people who gave positive to the test, and only 50% who were dead. So that's why we can go outside. I can ride outside. I just cannot be more than 2 people. So the same, I can ride with one other guy, but I cannot ride in a group. So it's not a big deal in Lithuania. Just it's in general it's boring in Lithuania. It's windy, it's flat, and that's just the only thing. But still, you can ride, you can do whatever you want.
So speaking of cycling and Lithuania, in recent years, you and a number of other riders, such as, I'm getting better with the pronunciations, Ramanaus, Navadauskas, and Bagdonas and Tom Bush. You've all ridden on the world tour. Some of you are still riding on the world tour. So what's been like kind of reason for this like increase in Lithuanian talent?
I would say there was a reason in the good structure of let's say of training, you know, and the good people that were working at that time when I was young, and let's say the school of cycling that we had at that time, since I was junior till like 10 years ago, you know, almost until I came to the professional 2008. Because at this moment, when I was younger, we were when you're a guy from Lithuania, you cannot expect to be ready and to become professional staying in Lithuania all the year and training only here and racing only here, because there is only 20, 30 other juniors around you, you know. So you need to go outside, you need to go to the training camps already in winter time, December, January, February, you know. You need to be somewhere in Italy, France, well, I mean in the south, where you can ride outside. So you need more money. And when I was young, and when other guys, like you said, Vaitkus and Bagdonas and Navatauskas, when they were young, that was the times where we could go outside because our national teams were doing that. And the national team had money, had people interested to bring us out, and had coaches, and we had contact with other teams, like amateur teams of other countries like Italy and France. So we could race for them, and we could share, we could split around, and we raced a lot of as a national team, all the nation cups and everything. That's why. And after us, then it was a bit less, less money, and less people were in charge that were actually motivated, you know, to do something and to put the hard work. I mean, you need to go out, you need to leave your family, and as a coach, you also need to go out for like 1.5 months to sit somewhere in the training camp. So that's the main reason why today cycling in Lithuania is actually dead.
You kind of, when you were younger, you went to quite a few world championships as a junior, and you went to the under 23 the under 23s as well. Were you did you leave Lithuania quite soon, or?
As a junior, I was just going for the training camps. But I mean training camps, I mean long training camps, not the one of 10 days, you know, or 1 week. We were going to the Ukraine at that moment, actually, to the Crimea, you know, that now belongs to Russia, with this story. And we were training there for like 2 months, like let's say January, February, or December, January, or spending even time in I was once in Kyrgyzstan, that's a country actually in the north, I think, of Kazakhstan or whatever, around Kazakhstan. I know they have the border with Kazakhstan. And we spent there like 2.5 months with the Christmas there and New Year and everything. And because that was the year of the 2004, I think, in Olympic Games. And there was Olympic team preparing there. And we as a juniors, we went with them. So it was kind of lots of traveling. But for the first time, I left Lithuania to live abroad when I joined the Marseille team in actually 2006, at the end of 2005.
As a 20-year-old, you actually came third in the national time trial championships in Lithuania. How soon did you know that you were kind of, and I'm also going to ask about the Kyrgyzstan. How soon did you kind of know that you were better at like you had a natural gift to time trialing?
Actually, I realized, or maybe a few years after that, I realized that I have a national gift when I was when I was 15 years old. I think I started training in the year 2000. And at the end of this year, because my father, he was a coach and he's still coaching a little bit, he said, okay, you can do a time trial, it was one of the last races of the season. I think you can do time trial, it was my first race and I won that race, with all the other guys that are training already like 2 years or whatever. And me just 2 months on the bike, I won that. And then I realized that, okay, that's something that is good for me.
So in 2008, you signed, you said about Kazakhstan. Why would you go to Kazakhstan to prepare and not Italy or Spain or the traditional places for high altitude? What was the reason for that?
That was the reason because it was in December, and in Europe, it's hard to find the place, and there was very cheap. I mean, as I know, that was that cheap that it was even impossible to understand that you can pay. Like, I don't know how much money it was because I didn't pay from my pocket, but I understood that was the same amount of money they could bring all the team that you could bring like 2 or 3 guys to Europe, And I mean, in Europe at that time, you didn't have a place to train, but it was a nice experience, but I would never come back there.
Let's hope they're not watching. So in 2008, you signed with Credit Agricole. What was it like kind of stepping up to your first big team and French team as well? Could you speak French at the time?
At the time, yeah, I could speak French because I already spent 2 years with Marseille. So it was my 3rd year when I joined them in France. And you become professional. It's like dream, it's like dreams coming true. You already in the first training camp, you have a big box of the clothing. You don't need to wash your pants every second day and be stressed that they will dry, And it's like, oh, whatever, you have like 50 pairs of the bib shorts and, you're like, wow, whatever, you don't care about anything anymore from this side. So, yeah, I think for everyone, becoming a professional is like dream coming true.
What was that first year like? Because you had success. Well, you became national champ the first time, and you also had a stage win in Tour of Luxembourg.
Yeah, exactly. So it was 2008 when I won the stage in Tour of Luxembourg, and then I finished 4th on GC there. If not some tactical errors from some other big guys, I could have even won the race, I think. That was my main success that actually guaranteed me the signing with the Cervelo test team when the Crédit Agricole actually stopped at the end of 2008. Because me as a neo pro, I had 2 years contract, but was 1+1, and the second year was if Crédit Agricole they continue as a sponsor, or if Roger Leger, team manager, he finds a new sponsor. And as he didn't find, the team collapsed.
So what's it like when a team collapses? Is there like a lot of uncertainty and like you had an extra year? How was it like when the team collapsed, but you thought you had an extra year?
It was actually a bit risky. and it was, I mean, risky. It was a hot situation for me because at the moment I thought, okay, that's it. I'm fucked up, you know. I won't find a team, and that's what's gonna be. I will need to come back to the amateurs again and things like that. But already before they announced that, no one believed that they will stop. Everyone said, "Oh, come on! If Roger Leger cannot find a sponsor, so then no one can find a sponsor," you know. And they were always like this. And then in August they say, "Oh no, actually the team is stopping." So then I was stressed. But then I went to the Olympic Games. Yeah, I participated in the Olympic Games in Beijing then. And there I spoke to, who did I speak to? I don't know. Some Russian guys that were there. The twin brothers. What was the name? The Russian twin brothers. They are not racing anymore. One, I forgot the name. And he said, I can introduce you to my manager. And then he introduced me to Aquadra Giuseppe, and he said, "Yeah, don't worry."
Efficam or
Yeah, true. Yeah, Efimkin brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, so you went to Cervelo. What was the Cervelo test team like? Did you like the bikes?
Cervelo test team, it was like a dream team, and until now there is no other second team as the Cervelo test team. I could only compare Groupama-FDJ, the team of today, that has a similar approach and more or less the same ideas. But at that time, if you would bring Cervelo test team from 2009 and you put in the group now, you could even leave the same material, I think, from the 2009. You would still be performing at the highest level.
What was the kind of the things that Cervelo test team were doing that was so kind of ahead of everyone else?
That was actually, we were having the best materials we could have at that time. We were the first team to ride the Lycra jerseys, you know, the Aero road jerseys, because until that everyone was riding, you know, the floating ones, and everyone was laughing of us at that moment. But then we were the first one to ride it, and after a few months we saw half of the peloton also start doing that. It was psychologically we were also ready, because we had, in the first meeting, I remember our first meeting was somewhere near some lake in Switzerland. I don't remember whatever, Geneva or whatever. And it was like, you know, back to the school, and we were like 3 or 4 days from the early morning till the late evening. We were sitting in a big hall and listening to the meetings of every sponsor, why he joined us, why he is the best, how much we gain, how much advantage we have against other, like frames, like wheels, tires, jerseys, and even small details, you know, like the helmets and everything. It was crazy. We were believing in that also, like 100% that we are above everyone. And of course, the group of the riders, the group of the staff, the soigneurs, the masseurs, the osteopaths, we had like everything, you know. Also, in these days, to have like, I don't know how many osteopaths we had, like almost every race we had a high qualified osteopath with us. And in these days it was only new teams like were doing that, but was like 80% of the peloton or 50% of the peloton that were still thinking that osteopathy and you know, in the cycling is you don't need that, it's even bad for you and things like that. But so, you know, it was many things that were like putting little detail after detail that I think made us so strong that everyone was performing so good.
You rode your first 2 Grand Tours that year as well, and in the Giro d'Italia on the final stage, something quite amazing happened. You won the stage.
Yeah, it was really crazy because, you know, it was my first Grand Tour at first. You do your first Grand Tour, you come to the last day, and then you win the time trial of the last day, you know. And it's like, I believe that only like a week after. The strange thing that the team believed in me so much. They said already like four or five stages to the final of the Giro d'Italia. They said, actually it was our team manager at that moment, Thomas Campana, that was managing the team, and he believed in me a lot for the time trial. And he said, look, Ignas, you will do, and he said to all the directors of the team that Ignas, 4 or 5 days, he is already thinking about the last day of time trial, and he won't go full until the end every stage. Where I can say the energy, I will do it. So even some flat stages, I was getting dropped like 20 Ks to go when the pace was getting really high, and was just riding in like small group of 3-4 guys, 10 guys or whatever, just to economize and to become fresher, to the final. And then even the last day we went because it was very, very strange circuit on the Rome. It was like at least 40-30% on the old cobbles of the Rome, many corners. Like, it's when you look at this time trial course, you say it's nothing that fits me. I hate accelerating and accelerating after the corners and braking and taking risks, or like things like that. But Thomas Campana, he was with me when we did the first recon lap, and he said, look, we need to go lower the tire pressures. And he said, you will try, and I don't remember how much, but we went like less than 6 bars, in the, I don't know what we used in this time. Maybe I don't know which size of tires, but was, I don't know, the years that we're using very small tires, like 19 or 20 maybe, it's very small compared to these days. And when he said to the mechanics, look, put him like 5.5, in the back disc wheel, and they were, you crazy, he will puncture, and no, let's do it, he needs to try it. And then we did one more lap of this circuit, and it's the last day. You don't want to do like 2 recon laps, you think like, whatever, just give me time, give me the home trainer and that's it, I'll do my race. But no, we did another one, and I said, okay, it's really much better. I was jumping less on the cobbles, and we decided that that's how I will do it, and it worked out really good. Okay, also the weather helped me a lot, because when I finished, it started to rain very hard, and half of the guys here, they had to do it with the wet conditions, but still on the day of today, I am the winner of that stage.
What was it like? How did it feel standing on the podium?
I felt so normal because I didn't believe. At that time, I didn't understand what happened, actually. I just stood there because they asked me to stand there. They gave me a trophy, and they applauded me, and I just went down. And I remember I just called my girlfriend. I said, look, I won a stage. And she said, oh yeah, it's nice, congrats. And so what else, it was things, even our conversation was like that. Even she couldn't believe it, like, oh yeah, okay, how is the weather, things like almost like that. So I felt exactly the same. Only like 3, 4, 5 days afterwards, I realized, I was like, oh Jesus, I won a stage of the Giro d'Italia, So on that day, it was too many things, too much happened to understand it.
That's it for this first part of this interview. I thought, as we discussed so many things, that I would make it a 2-part interview. And you can click here to see the next part when it's ready, where Ignatas talks about his time at Movistar, winning the 4 days of Dunkirk, and his time at FDJ so far. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.